So what did we discuss in our previous class? Started with Fellowship. So we are discussing Bhagavad Gita. Okay. We are discussing chapter 8. We started the last time. We started off by discussing Fellowship. So what is the Fellowship of studying Shudarka?
Krishna Bhakti will develop by reading through chapter 8. Krishna Bhakti will develop.
Krishna Bhakti will develop, yes. It is a Fellowship of every chapter. Yes. So we saw that how the Brahma Rakshasa ghosts were relieved simply by hearing the half the verse of the first half of the first verse of the 8th chapter, where the question was asked, Kim tad Brahma, Kim adhyatam, Kim karma purushottam. And that forms the basis of whatever we discussed in the last class. So there were a few terms and terminologies that are used in the first 4 verses of the 8th chapter. So what are some of the terminologies we saw and what do they mean? We saw Brahman, we saw Adhyatma, we saw Karma, we saw Adi Bhuta, we saw Adi Daiva, Adi Yajna. Okay, so what are each of these? So Arjuna wanted to know if Brahman refers to Jiva or Paramatma. So what does Brahman refer to? Paramatma is Parabrahman. He also wanted to know if Adhyatma pertains to gross or subtle body.
It is constitutional nature.
So what are the conclusions? That the Jiva is what? Jiva is Brahman. That was one conclusion. Then nature of the Jiva is called as Adhyatma. Okay. And what is the nature of the Jiva? To eternally serve Lord Krishna. So that is the nature of Adhyatma. Then Adi Bhuta is what? The material body. Adi Daivata is the Virat Purusha. We saw that. So Virat Purusha is equal to the sum of all dominating demigods plus all dominated living beings. So that Adi Yajna is the super source, who is also the enjoyer of all sacrifices. And we went back to 7.30 verse, the last verse of the 7th chapter, where the Lord says that if we know Him as Adi Bhuta, which means the Lord controlling all material transformations, if we know Him as Adi Daiva, who is the source of Virat Rupa and the demigods, and if we know Him as Adi Yajna, which is one unto whom all the benefits of the Vedic sacrifices go to, then such a person will understand Him at the time of, realize Him at the time of death. Okay, so that's why these terms and terminologies were thrown. Okay, we have finished with them. Thanks. So such a person will no longer need a material body. So having said that, so when Lord says that if you know me as such, then you can think of me at the time of death. If you know me as such. So the next question that Arjuna is asking, okay, if I know you like this, then I will be able to think of you at the time of death. But what happens if I think of you at the time of death? What happens after that? That's what he is asking. So that led us to verse 5, which is a key memory verse. What is the anyone remembers? Anta kale cha mameva smaran muktva tadevaram. Yaprayati samadbhava yati nasti atra samshaya. This is a very, very important verse from Bhagavad Gita. Very, very important. Very often quoted verse also. This and the next verse there. So, did we read the translation of this
We finished 5.
We finished 5. Yeah, but I thought that this time was up and I didn't do much justice to it. So okay, so we'll do one thing. We'll quickly go through 5 again. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone at once, attains my nature. Of this, there is no doubt. Mahesh Prabhu, express. Because we did last time.
In this verse, the importance of Krishna consciousness is stressed. Anyone who quits his body in Krishna consciousness is at once transferred to the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is the purest of the pure. Therefore, anyone who is constantly Krishna conscious is also the purest of the pure. The word smaran, remembrance, is important. Remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional service. Therefore, one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of life. If one wants to achieve success at the end of his life, the process of remembering Krishna is essential. Therefore, one should constantly, incessantly chant the Maha Mantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya has advised that one be as tolerant as a tree. There may be so many impediments for a person who is chanting Hare Krishna. Nonetheless, tolerating all these impediments, one should continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that at the end of one's life, one can have the full benefits of Krishna consciousness.
So what are the points here?
Prabhupada says that one who constantly chants, or one who constantly Krishna conscious, is also the purest of the pure.
If not practiced, we cannot remember at the end of the life.
The importance of smaranam is also
Correct. So this verse talked about the importance of smaranam. Smaranam is one of the Navavida Bhakti process. Where is Brihad Bhanu Prabhu? Not arrived yet. So what is the Navavida Bhakti process? Iti Pumsa Arpita Bhaktischin Navalakshana. Remember after that?
7 points.
Something Bhagavati Adda. Yes. Kriyate
Bhagavati Adda Tarmanyeti Tumuttam.
Kriyate Bhagavati Adda Tanmanye Aditam Uttam. So these processes are the Navavida Bhakti process. 9 processes of devotional service. Out of which the top 3 are what? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Now, that is what is mentioned here. The importance of Smaranam is mentioned here. So, there are a lot of programs. There is a huge revolution today, which a program called as Art of Living is doing. They are doing a lot of good work in terms of bringing people from the mode of ignorance to the mode of goodness. Okay. ISKCON is also doing similar work. What we also do is, we take people from mode of goodness to the mode of transcendental goodness. Okay. We also concentrate on Shuddha Sattva. So, art of living and also art of dying. So this is the art of dying. Whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Now this Smaranam, it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, can be in 2 moods. Can be in a favorable mood or in an unfavorable mood. Okay. One can do Smaranam in 2 moods. Favorable as well as unfavorable. So there is a famous verse which we recently studied in our Bhaktivedanta course. Gopyat Kamad Bhayad Kamso Dvesha Chaid Adayo Nrapa. Then Sambandhat Krishnayad Snehad Yuyam Bhaktya Vayam Vipo. Okay, let's dissect this verse. So this verse is being spoken by Narad Muni to King Yudhishthira. He is saying, Gopyat Kamat. In which mood did gopis worship Lord Krishna? Transcendental lust. Kam. Kam means lust. Gopyat Kamat. Okay. How did Kamsa remember? Do smaranam of Lord Krishna. Bhayad Kamso. Gopyat Kamat. It's very easy to remember. You can buy at it. Gopyat Kamat. Bhayad Kamso. And then Dvesha Chaid Adayo Nrapa. Shishupal and the other kings. What was Shishupal's mood? Unfavorable or favorable? Unfavorable. He was always envious. Dvesh. He had dvesh towards Lord Krishna. So he always had, but he was always remembering Lord Krishna out of dvesh. Gopyat Kamat Balat Bhayat Kamso Dvesha Chaida Adaya Nrapa. Okay. Then Sambandad Vrishnaya. Sambandad means what? Vrishni. Who is the Vrishni? The Yadu dynasty. How did they remember Krishna? Out of their relationship, their familial relationship with Lord Krishna. That's how they remembered. Okay, so Sambandha. By Sambandha they. By lust, gopis remembered. By fear, Kamsa remembered. By dvesh or hatred, Shishupal remembered. By relationship, familial relationship, Yadu dynasty remembered. Sambandad, Vrishnayad, then Snehad Yuyam. Out of love, affection, who remembered? Yuyam means you. Who is talking to who? Narad Muni is talking to Yudhishthira. And you Pandavas, you have remembered him out of affection. And Bhaktya Vayam. And I am remembering, Narad Muni is remembering out of Bhakti. So there are so many ways of remembering of this Smaranam of the Lord. Okay. And it is mentioned that if you remember the Lord in any of these ways, you will attain His mercy. You will attain His mercy. So there are various ways of remembering. However, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, for all of us, what is recommended? Favorable mode of remembrance is recommended. Unless any one of us incidentally are part of some Leela and sitting in the Bhakti Satrika, which is maybe unlikely. Except one person has come. It is a transcendental pastime to come late to the class. We wanted you because we were struggling to remember verses. Gopyat Kamat, you remember that verse? Gopyat Kamat? Yeah. Gopyat Kamat Bhayat.
Where is it available? Bhayat Prabhu.
Which you don't have. That's why you are coming late to the class. There is no bhai. You have to create some. Otherwise, out of affection, you can come on time to the class. Okay, so there are many ways. So Srila Prabhupada says you can remember the Lord in an unfavorable way or in a favorable way. So for all of us, what has Rupa Goswami advised? Remember the Lord in a favorable way. Now, Narad Muni, out of his humility, he is saying that Shishupal's, that if you remember the Lord out of so much of hatred, you can attain Him easily than if you remember Him through Bhakti. So but that's a statement which Narad Muni is making in ecstasy. That I wish I could remember as much as Shishupal always remembered the Lord, or Kamsa was always fearing the Lord. No? I wish I could remember like that, 24 hours thinking of Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport to that section of Srimad Bhagavatam that we should not take it literally. Because there are certain things which are mentioned out of ecstasy. For example, it is also mentioned, Rupa Goswami I think mentioned, that if anyone, was it Rupa Goswami or someone else? I can't remember, it could be Rupa Goswami, that if anyone wants to enjoy this material world, don't go to the banks of the Yamuna. Don't look at that black man with a flute in his hand. Don't look at him. Now obviously you can't say, yeah, I'm following Rupa Goswami, therefore I'm not worshipping the Lord at all. I will not go to the Yamuna. So there are certain things which are said in the Srimad Bhagavatam which are told out of ecstasy, but they cannot be taken literally. So we need, so Srila Prabhupada's purports advise us how to understand those statements. Otherwise we can make apparats like that. Okay? So Smaranam for us should be done in a favorable mood. Anukulyena Krishna Anusidanam Bhakti Uttama. That is why Uttama Bhakti is called as what? Anukul. Anukul means favorable. Our devotional life, devotional service is not pratikul, is not unfavorable to the Lord. It is pleasing to the Lord. Even when I think Bhishma Pitama was in those arrows and Lord Krishna was bleeding, so he said that, it is mentioned that he liked those arrows better than the prayers of karmis who go to him and worship him for material benefits, better than those arrows at him. Because Bhishma Pitama is tasting chivalry ras. He is enabling that Lord Krishna to taste that rasa. So he is assisting him in his pastimes. So this Smaranam is very important in a favorable mood for all of us. And whoever at the time of his death quits his body, in that Smarana, Lord says, will attain my nature. Of this there is no doubt. He is giving a guarantee.
What is that verse number?
Which one? Gopyat Kamal Balad Kamso. Okay, it is from 7th canto. I think it is from 3rd chapter. Search it out. Anyone has got wireless?
7.1.31.
Huh?
7.1.31.
7.1.31. 7.1.31. So in fact, it is also mentioned that that Prahlad Maharaj attained the Lord. This was Prahlad Maharaj's strength. What was Prahlad Maharaj's strength? Smaranam. Always 24 hours he was in the Smaranam of the Lord. Okay. Because of this intense Smaranam of the Lord, though Hiranyakashipu was troubling him left, right, center, he was never feeling any trouble. What to speak of not feeling any trouble? He was not even angry at his father. He was putting him in boiling oil, throwing him from a hill, trying to crush him under an elephant. Not only was he equipoised, but he did not hold any hatred, because there was no place in his consciousness to hold any other emotion but love of Krishna. So if the glass is completely full, you can't pour anything into it. If the glass of our heart is full of Krishna Prem, there is no place for envy, hatred, competition, nothing can sit inside that. Because it's overflowing with Prem. Srila Prabhupada also exhibited that. He was overflowing with Prem. In fact, such people, the Prem is overflowing, they can't control themselves. So, that overflowing of Prem in Srila Prabhupada's heart manifested as what? As his books. That's why Srila Prabhupada said, my books are my devotional ecstasies. That's why the Acharyas leave so much of literature. You can imagine, 70 years old, going to a cargo ship and translating 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Our Bhaktivedanta, Bhakti Vaibhav course took 8 years to complete. Recently, certificates were given. And now Bhaktivedanta is starting. God knows how many years that will go for. And then Bhakti Sarvabhauma, God again knows how many years. To study those books takes a lifetime. And he wrote all the purport after purport, long purports to each. So where is that energy coming from? Vina Krishna Shakti, that is not possible. So he was empowered. And those are his ecstasies. He can't stop writing. So when that Smaranam is so high in our heart, then there will be no place for mundane talk, politics, or there is no realization even of bodily necessities for such a person. So there was, sleep, okay, 2 hours sleep, fine, again translate. Because you can't sleep, you have to get up and start the ecstasies again, like that. So that is the power of Smaranam of pure devotees. So by Smaranam of the Lord, a jiva can achieve extraordinary things. Let's read further. Text 6. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Somebody wants to read? Damu Prabhu?
The process of changing one's nature at the critical moment of death is here explained. A person who at the end of his life quits his body thinking of Krishna attains the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. But it is not true that a person who thinks of something other than Krishna attains the same transcendental state. This is a point we should note very carefully. How can one die in the proper state of mind? Maharaja Bharata, although a great personality, thought of a deer at the end of his life. And so in his next life, he was transferred into the body of a deer. Although as a deer, he remembered his past activities, he had to accept that animal body. Of course, one's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the end of moment of death. So this life creates one's next life. If in one's present life one lives in the mode of goodness and always thinks of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of one's life. That will help one be transferred to the transcendental nature of Krishna. If one is transcendently absorbed in Krishna's service, then his next body will be transcendental, spiritual, no material. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare is the best process for successfully changing one's state of being at the end of one's life.
What are the points here? This is again the key memory verse. Yam yam vapis maran bhav. Tyajanti karega. Please note down key memory verse.
Bhakti is not a retirement program.
Yes, Bhakti is not a retirement activity. Neither is Bhakti a activity that one does as an extracurricular activity or as a hobby or a special interest. In corporate life they call it as exceeding expectations. It's not those kind of activities where you do your regular work and on top of that you exceed expectations. You're doing something, taking on more things. It's not like that. Bhakti is the Jaiva Dharma. Bhakti is the Nitya Dharma of the soul. Just like the characteristic of water is to flow and be liquid, the characteristic of the soul is to serve the Lord. Naturally it serves, it's meant to serve the Lord. It's an innate characteristic of the soul. That's why it's called Jaiva Dharma.
Apart from that, it also includes that Jatoma Sattva. Like you cannot worship anything to attain Krishna's point. You have to worship only Krishna. You cannot worship anybody else to attain.
So that's why the Lord says in the previous verse, at the end of one's life, quits his body remembering me alone, not remembering him along with other things. Or not remembering anything else. Any other points here in the report which you read? Yes.
So here, Prabhupada is telling me, he's doing King's life is the preparation. So we have to prepare for the death. So otherwise, we cannot attain to the state of being one remember while quitting the body. So that's why the chanting is necessary.
So Bhakti takes a lifetime of preparation. We can't remember the Lord, we can't trick the Lord by saying that I will do maja throughout life. And then towards the end, then I will say, Krishna, hey, tricked you. There I am in Vaikuntha. Hey, you guys, the full life you did, At the last minute I did. It's not like those coaching classes, crash course you do towards the end of life. It will not work like that. Either you have it or you don't have it. So it takes a lifetime of practice to remove lust, anger, envy, greed and pride. It takes a lifetime of practice. I remember just 2 days ago, we had a very sensitive situation at office. And one of the persons with whom I have very good dealings with, both of us fought. And I found myself after a long time losing my temper very badly. Okay. And then both of us sat in, even he is also a nice person actually. So, and he's also coming, he's also part of our lunch Bhagavatam class. So we are very close. He's also very honest in his dealings. So he's trying to do the best. I'm also trying to do the best. But there was a momentary, what do you call that as? situational, conditional nature of both of us came out. Boom, like that. But then immediately in 5 minutes, because of this linking of Srimad Bhagavatam relationship which we have, both of us got into a conference room, apologized to one another, and each one said that it is my mistake. And there was nothing. And then we came out as friends. Okay. So this is just because Krishna is in the center. I realized. Okay. I realized two things out of that. That if our relationship is based on Krishna, then we can resolve our differences very quickly with devotees. That is one. But on the other hand, if our chanting and hearing is not very good, we can fall down into such situations from where we have to recover very quickly. So that also should be avoided. So last 2 months or so, since my MP3 player conked off, my hearing has been third class. Okay? And that is why I am also seeing the effect of that. That is why I understood why am I getting angry, because usually it will never happen. Mahesh Prabhu knows in office, at least none of us yell in office. So there is a lot of yelling and chillam goes on. But normally we don't. We handle every situation very as much coolly as possible, without fighting or without any political strategies, etc., etc. We try to see as much as possible that everyone is happy with the solution that comes out for issues. Okay. However, because of improper sadhana, sometimes the circumstantial nature comes out. Boom. Like that. So therefore, I realized that it was me. I can't blame the other person for it, because he is not so much into devotional service as much as I am. So I have the larger responsibility of, even in those situations, to remind myself. And then, so if I were hearing lectures, for example, I'm pretty sure if I would have heard a lecture of my Guru Maharaj in the tram that day, it would have never happened. Because then you enter the office in that mood. And when you enter the office in that mood, then you work very differently with people. I don't know why I mentioned this.
Last minute remembrance is not possible.
Yeah, so last minute remembrance is not possible. So it takes a lifetime of practice and such realizations. We will make mistakes, we'll fall down, we'll have to gather us. Just like a child walks a few steps, falls down, again falls down, and again, then after that the child doesn't fall down. Even as an adult, sometimes we fall down. The municipality has dug one, something, and then boom, you go inside. Right? That happens. And then, but then you realize, no, I have to open my eyes and look everywhere and then walk carefully. So it takes a lifetime to look at all the potholes in our life which come in between us and our journey towards Krishna. It takes a lifetime of observing. First is observance of where are the potholes, where are the deviations. So constant observation, constant practice. Deviations will come, but we have to have self-control to move away from those. Those deviations will look very good. Beautiful lady will be standing there smiling, TV, fridge, car, house, everything will be standing there. Lots of money will be standing there, and here will be Krishna. So it takes a lifetime to simplify and go this way, like that.
When we see the Maharaj's Maharaj Bharat pastime, he could easily renounce his kingdom, wealth, everything, but because of his slight, because he pity and the deer and that attachment became more, and because of that he has to fall down. We can see in this situation like Maya can attack us anytime, so we should be very careful.
So our anarthas can surface even at the stage of Bhava Bhakti, which is what Maharaj Bharat was. So what was Maharaj Bharat's principal problem? Lack of association. That is why. So when we become senior devotee, it's a very difficult situation. Nobody will correct us. Because why? Everybody will only say, Hari Bol Prabhuji, aap to Prabhu bas, तो इतने एडवांस्ड हो, तो वो आपको मैं क्या बोलूँ, मैं तो एकदम यह हुआ हूँ. So everybody who talks to you will talk that language. So who is in a dangerous situation now? We are in a dangerous situation because nobody is there to correct us now. When nobody is there to correct us, we become senior devotees. Correct? कोई बोलने वाला ही नहीं है. और people will be scared of us also. अबे भाई इसको कौन बोलेगा तो ये कुछ और ही घुमा देगा. So then nobody will tell us also anything. छोड़ो यार, छोड़ो, उनको कौन बोले? Like that. So the person who is in this situation is in the most dangerous situation in devotional life. Because the person cannot go back to Godhead. He is not getting any instruction from anyone. That is the problem. So therefore, in one of the temples in Bombay, it is established that everyone will have a counselor, and a counselor will have a counselor. And even in Melbourne, we are almost having that. We are almost having that model system, whatever, or practice, if you like, that most of the people are now covered under a Bhaktivriksha cell servant or a youth group cell leader or whatever. And the Bhaktivriksha cell servant also then must be somebody's servant. Some must be taking guidance from somewhere. Like that. So that model is a very healthy model. We give association, we give counseling, and we take counseling. Both are important. If we only give counseling, we will become proud. If we only take counseling, we are not spreading the Hare Krishna movement. Both are important. Give and take, give and take. So, whatever state of mind or whatever state of being one remembers when one quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. So recently Krishna Prabhu was here, and we were chatting in my house one day, and he was telling me that one devotee, practicing devotee, he came from a near-death experience. I don't know whether I told this.
Yeah, I told you.
I told him. So Krishna Prabhu asked, okay, what happened when the head-on collision, when you saw that last minute the truck was colliding with you, what did you think? I was humming a Bollywood tune. Some Kishore Kumar song or something he was singing, So Anta Kalecha Mameva Kishore Kumar Smarana. Right? So problem is, so therefore, so we have to be very careful, especially those people who have a liking for Bollywood songs, or who have spent a lot of time in Bollywood since their childhood. Such people must be very careful. I will watch this video after the class and take the instruction. Okay. So, yeah. Now, there was an interesting question which my mother posed to me 2 days back over the phone, and I said I'll address that question in this Bhaktivedanta program. My mother said that, what if for some reason, because she went through a near-death experience recently, so she told me that what to do if we can't remember. She was very, she was mentioning the example which I gave in the previous class. If the car comes and collides from the front, at least you can say Hare Krishna. If it collides from behind, what will you say? You wouldn't even know. Someone said rear view mirror and all that. What if you have a flat tire? Even rear view mirror will not save you. If you are going at 120 and if you have a flat tire, you are finished. So therefore, life will not give us too much time. Or today there was raining. It was raining. I was thinking when I was driving back from Mill Park program, if this car skids, I am finished. Especially in some places, you know that you are really at Krishna's mercy now. Because if the car just does hydroplaning, so it will come and then the truck will come from opposite and finished. Okay. So that's, I was thinking that, though I am thinking that I am driving, it is actually the Lord who is deciding. When He wants, as long as He wants to keep me, no truck will come. When He wants to take me, nothing will save me. Even if I am driving very carefully, anything can happen. So, in Bombay, for example, in the newspaper, there was a recent, one man, this just happened day before yesterday. He was driving in his motorbike over an overbridge, and lot of, what is kabutar? Pigeon. They were all flying. There was kabutar khana, he was flying. And then from kabutar khana, so many pigeons came flying. One of the pigeons came and hit him on the bike, and he fell off the bike and he came under a car which was coming on the opposite direction. Just imagine, if somebody would have told him, one pigeon will be responsible for your death. But then the pigeon was responsible for his death. Like that. So, when death will come, how death will come, we don't know. Okay. Kab, kaha, we will not know. Mata is smiling. You know where I am quoting this from. A famous Bollywood movie there was. हम सब रंग मंच की कठपुतलियां हैं. कौन कब कहाँ? राजेश खन्ना movie this was. Anand. So we don't know when death will come. कब आएगा, कहाँ आएगा, we don't know. They're just like puppets. Like that. Some things from Bollywood can be taken. Yukta Vairagya. Use it in service of Krishna. So therefore, my mother asked me this question. So what if I can't remember at the time of death? Then what will happen? What is the answer? Why you should do why? I am not a pure devotee.
Other devotees can pray for.
Correct. Other devotees will pray for us. When will other devotees pray for us? If we have association, they'll pray for us.
When we have good relationship.
We should have relationships. If we have relationships, they'll pray for us. Gandharvika Mataji had excellent relationships with everyone. Of course, pure devotees will pray even if there is no relationship. But it is generally good to have Vaishnava relationships, because those people who you have the closest relationship with, they will be beside us at the time of our death. From somewhere they'll be there. Even if they can't fly down, suppose we are all, tomorrow we don't know where all of us will be, no? Somebody will be in Europe, 10 years down the line we don't know. Suppose death comes, then what will happen? Even if we are miles apart, immediately some devotee will say, oh, this is our good friend. Chalo, let's hold a kirtan for this person. And devotees will fervently pray to Sri Sri Radha Vallabha here or somewhere in the world. So people are praying for you all over the world, like that. So for that we should have a life where we have developed solid relationships with Vaishnavas. That is important. Such relationships are developed by subordination, service and cooperation. Otherwise relationship will not come. Subordination should be there, service should be there and cooperation should be there.
We only pray after we know that the person has left the body. So how that person gets Krishna's mercy?
Because
Even though without remembering Lord left the body.
yeah, he gets the mercy because it is said in Madhurya Kadambini that though the Lord is very conjuice in giving his love. The Lord is very particular. The Lord, especially Lord Krishna will tend to look at whether this guy deserves or not. He will see from the platform of justice. Have you met the criteria? Have you overcome lust, anger, envy, greed, pride? But we are not under the center of Lord Krishna. We are under the center of Lord Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kali Yuge Avatar Chaitanya Nitaya Papa Pashanda Nahi Mane. They are very merciful. That's why our movement is very special, because we are under the umbrella of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the Lord Krishna may have very high standards, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very merciful. Mayapur Dham is very beneficent. That is why we want to live in Mayapur Dham. Because even if you do aparad in Mayapur, that is not counted. In Vrindavan it is counted. So we have to be very careful if we are living in Vrindavan. Living in Mayapur, no problem. Of course, it doesn't mean that we should not live in Vrindavan. Because even living in Vrindavan, we are under the umbrella of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even if we are living in Vrindavan. That is the beauty. So we have to pray to Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda is the deliverer of the most fallen people. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. But more merciful than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Nityananda. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered Prakashananda Saraswati, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. These were the people he was preaching to. But Lord Nityananda was preaching to Jagai, Madhai, just like all of us. So, Jagai, Madhai consciousness. So, he is the hope for us. And Srila Prabhupada is the hope for us. Srila Prabhupada said, simply chant 16 rounds, follow 4 regulative principles, and you will go back to Godhead in this lifetime. Of course, we struggle with those instructions as well. It is a different matter. Okay? So that is one war which we have to win in this life, following the 4 regulative principles, even within the institution of marriage. That is the biggest challenge for Devastas. If we win that, and if we are able to attentively chant 16 rounds, we will go back to Godhead. Of course, without doing aparads, without envying any devotees. Actually, if you see, it's very simple. But dil hai ke manta nahi. Our tongue has to talk something about some devotee. It will not stop. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's tongue could not stop chanting Hare Krishna Mantra, our tongue cannot stop discussing Vanda Vachkara. Like that. We like discussions on Vanda. So therefore, kya karega? You will remain in the material world till that time.
Just a question of you. This time when Sankarshan Das Maharaj came, he mentioned the fact that one should not pray for a devotee, or we should not pray. Automatically Krishna will look after them. So I didn't understand the context.
I don't know. I've not heard that lecture, so I can't comment. So I don't know what
He's telling Krishna, we should ask for Krishna.
That is for oneself. I remember now. He was asking oneself. That's for oneself. Yes.
No, even for others.
Even for others.
Even for others.
I don't know. I'll probably hear that again.
Saying that pray to Krishna,
In a
do
service.
what you desire. Do to him like if I'm praying for somebody, and if you desire, save him. If you desire, but Krishna's desire, not we should not ask to give him good health or deliver him.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. But still, we are praying for His good health. No? What we are telling the Lord is, my dear Lord. For example, Amal Gaur Sundar Prabhu's daughter, she had her finger between the door. All of you know, right? The finger was literally hanging outside. Small baby. Now, why will we not pray, oh my dear Lord, please, don't give her too much pain. After all, she is a small child. We pray like that. We say, no, this is Sakama Bhakti. I am asking everyone sitting here, if your child put the hand between a door and the finger has come out, would you not want devotees to pray, oh Lord, please do not give her so much pain. She is after all a small baby. Nobody wants others to pray like that. Or do you want to pray, oh Lord, if you are pleased, let the pain continue. So our prayer has to be based on our level of realization. My level of realization is this. Therefore I will pray as per this. We cannot imitate the Acharyas. For example, Kunti Maharani played Vipada Shantu Taha Shashvat Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru. In that, she's saying, let those calamities come again and again, my dear Lord. Can we pray like that? Just because that is Uttama Bhakti? Because we are not on that platform at the First we have to purify ourselves. When we purify ourselves, naturally our prayer will become like that. We can't artificially pray like that to the Lord. What if Krishna says, oh beta, dekh leta tere ko, calamity chahiye, okay, kal se sab share market down, real estate down, global economic crisis. Then you will say, Bhagwan, मैं तो मजाक कर रहा था. आपने तो seriously ले लिया. मैं तो ऐसे humble बताने के लिए बोला. So you can't tell like that. So better to be natural. Whatever is our realization, pray like that. So for example, when Amal Gaur Sundar Prabhu's daughter put that finger inside, I was thinking if Aditya were so small and if he would have put that finger, I know the kind of affection I had for him, then it was unbearable for me. I remember once, because when we were in Japan, we were going down and Tokyo station is actually a very weird station, if you see. Okay, proper Tokyo station. It's got slope like this, the escalator goes like this, literally vertical. You are going 3-4 floors in one shot. If you go one floor in an escalator, then the slope is like this. But when you go 3 floors in an escalator, it's a long escalator till you reach down. And Aditya fell down. He went between the pranks, he was sleeping, he was a small baby. He fell down, he slipped and rolled and then went. And I was shocked at some point in time. So will I not pray? I'll say, oh my dear Lord, if you desire, then no. I'll instinctively pray, my dear Lord, please save my son. That's only natural. Okay. Whereas Gora Kumbha was there in Maharashtra. Anyone heard of Gora Kumbha? Yeah. Gora Kumbha kya kiya? His child, Gora Kumbha, was making pots. And he was singing Vittala, Vittala, Jai Hari Vittal. He was singing like that. And his son went inside the sand. And Gora Kumbha was still jumping up and down. And then his wife realized that he has trampled his own son singing Vittal, Vittal, Vittal. But then when she told him, then Gora Kumbha chastised her. He said, what? Whose son? It was his property, the son, it was not our child. He only gave, he only took away. Now, am I on that platform? No. At least I am not. So therefore, our prayer at our level, it has to be like that. Sankarshan Maharaj at his level, we have to hear that advice. Obviously, we have to know what is the best. But at the end of the day, we have to pray based on our own little realizations. But yes, as Tarun Prabhu rightly pointed out, we can say like that. Yeah. Krishna, if you so desire, can you please reduce the pain of this child? Because our realization may not be high enough to understand the plan of the Lord for that family. When the girl put her hand in between the doors, maybe the Lord wanted to, for example, Nilagopa Prabhu.
This is the exact reference he gave, that there may be burning of some karmas.
There may be burning of some
This
karmas.
is the exact reference. So
Yeah.
we don't know the plan, so we.
And the mood should be like we should serve Krishna rather than asking him to serve.
Correct, correct. Agree. That is Uttama Bhakti prayer. Now Nilagopa Prabhu met with an accident few days back. How many of you prayed that Lord, please, he's a nice devotee. Can you please save him? At least I prayed. I can remember. Okay. It was difficult for me to say that, oh Lord, if you so desire, please take him away. If you so desire, save him. No, I couldn't have the heart to pray like that. Because Kalyani Mataji was there in the house, in my house, with the child on that night. And I know how difficult that night was for all of us. It was a very difficult situation. He's there with us 2 hours back, and now he has met with a life-threatening accident. So it is very difficult. At least, we pray to Lord, please save. But, because he's such a nice devotee, he's such a humble devotee, he wants to serve. So give him some karmic relation, but don't take him away, because, maybe the family will break after that. If you take them away. The child is just born like that. So yes, the right prayer should be that way. And then, that's a very big prayer, leaving everything on Krishna. Obviously, Maharaj is talking about a very high standard of prayer.
Only one question.
Yeah.
You said Krishna looks at everything, qualification or whatever. Krishna won't accept anyone and everyone. Whereas Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is much more giving mercy, it's easy to do. From where do we quote this thing that Krishna does not accept? Krishna looks at everything, whether everything is fit or not. Or is it just we are saying in order to...
We have to understand that Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi. Same Krishna only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But this is how the Lord likes to interact. It's the same Krishna only who is merciful at the end of the day.
So is it right to quote because my understanding was Krishna is always merciful with each and every, it doesn't matter what he is doing. So
He is merciful, but in this incarnation, he bestows special mercy. Krishna is merciful. See, if you see, Krishna is merciful, he is merciful because he gives oxygen even to the third degree criminals. Even the terrorists are getting oxygen to breathe. So is he not merciful? Does he stop oxygen supply for terrorists? So even if you perform the most abominable action, he is giving oxygen to breathe. He gives good health to even terrorists. Right? So in that sense he is equal to all. Krishna himself says actually in Bhagavad Gita that my devotees are a little bit more dearer to me. Dearest of all. He says he shows traces of partiality. And this is very nicely dealt with in Madhurya Kadamini. You have to read Madhurya Kadamini, the first shower. If you read the first few pages, there it will be very clear that actually Krishna he is impartial. By nature he is impartial. But who makes him partial? Devotee's recommendation makes him partial. The recommendation of a pure devotee he cannot fail, because Krishna is a servant of his pure devotee. So Srila Prabhupada will recommend, this is rascal, but somehow he has served me nicely. So Krishna will say, okay, chalo, le lo. It's like the recommendation quota in a college. Merit mein nahi hai, 96%. So recommendation quota is more powerful. Especially in Kali Yuga, where most of us are Manda Sumanda Madhya.
if somebody prays to Krishna directly, saying, who want to render service to you, so then Krishna will automatically make all the arrangements. Like even going to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna will make that arrangement. Okay, you pray to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then you will come to me, or whatever arrangement is there. Because I heard somewhere that it's hard to have the qualification to reach to Krishna. In one, it's impossible.
In Nectar of Devotion it is mentioned, there are 6 characteristics of devotional service. One characteristic is Sudhurlabha. Sudhurlabha means that which is rarely attained. So yes, it is very rare to attain Krishna Bhakti. Yes. But Krishna Bhakti is being distributed by Lord Nityananda without discrimination in Kali Yuga. So we have to take it. But mercy is being distributed. He's falling at the feet of people, saying that please chant Hare Krishna, otherwise I will not leave your feet. Lord Krishna in any of his incarnations has not done that directly. Whereas even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will not fall at people's feet. But Lord Nityananda will fall at people's feet. So most merciful incarnation. Okay. So Vaishnava relationships are very important for us to be able to be delivered from this material world. So even if we cannot remember, Vaishnavas can pray for us. And can pray to Lord Nityananda and Gaurnitai. And then by that, Vaishnavas can influence the decision. Especially if a pure Vaishnava prays, then the Lord will not refuse that. Because the pure Vaishnava is very dear to the Lord. We may or may not be. Everyone is dear at the end of the day. But yes, we will get the additional mercy, recommendation of a pure Vaishnava. Okay. Also, if one has to remember the Lord at the time of quitting one's body, then one has to develop, this for all of us. All of us have to develop detachment from home, wealth, family, business. Otherwise we will die like Lalaji. सब लोग इधर है तो दुकान में कौन बैठा है? And then Lalaji died after saying that statement. Instead of being happy that at the deathbed whole family has come to see him, he got worried. दुकान में कौन बैठा है? And then he died. So therefore, this detachment has to come, and that is very, very difficult to come. The detachment takes. That is, I don't have the realization of how the detachment will be. Because I am also very attached to my family. Like that. Of course, because of Srila Prabhupada's mercy, because of being in Krishna Consciousness movement, we have got detached from many things which we were attached to. Tea, coffee. My greatest attachment was Bollywood and cricket. Okay. So we have got detached from all those things to a large extent. Some vestiges are remaining still. However, the detachment has to be complete. The attachment to the Lord and to the lotus feet of devotees has to increase more and more, by which that detachment will also increase more and more. And in that state of mind, then we can remember the Lord. Nothing else will disturb us. If we have too much attachments, then all those will surface at the time of leaving the body. When my mother called me over the phone, and I think I told this also before, what should I do? I don't know whether I will live this experience. Then I was telling her that you remember your spiritual master, you remember the Lord. Keep chanting. Don't think of anything else. Don't even think of me as your son, whatever. Just remember the Lord. So that's what we have to do. Of course, if our children are devotees and if our family members are devotees, then it becomes easier. Then even if you remember them as devotees, that's fine. But better to remember the Lord or the spiritual master. That is very powerful. So we have to develop that attachment for spiritual master. It takes a lifetime of practice. It doesn't come just like that.
Remembering, you said the family members who are devotees, but in consciousness of they being a devotee, not as a wife or children.
Yeah.
That's how it will work. Otherwise, it's a regular attachment. Otherwise.
So again, that needs a lifetime of practice.
Yeah, it takes a lifetime of practice. And I'll talk about it a little bit more in the next verse, next few verses. So Arjuna, so Lord is telling him that, if you remember me at the time of death, you will attain my nature without fail. Now, Gurujan Prabhu writes that Arjuna is perhaps relieved upon hearing this. And he may have thought, this is much better advice than telling me to fight. Again, we are coming back to the battlefield of Kurukshetra. I will just remember the Lord, so no need to fight. Somebody will kill me anyway, from the Pandava said. I'll remember the Lord, anyway he is your only. So, kyun fight karne ka? Therefore, Lord Krishna wants to clear that misconception of his mind. Therefore, he is telling the next verse. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. Okay. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Nachupati, can you read this quickly?
This instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them and at the same time think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's names, one will be transferred to the supreme planet, Krishna Loka, without a doubt.
So Lord Krishna is saying here that remember me, but do your prescribed duties. We have to do our prescribed duties, not premature retirement, which we have seen many times before in the Bhagavad Gita class, right from chapter 1. So I went last week, I had dinner in one devotee's house. Very nice family, very devoted family. So one of the Matajis was asking me this question, Prabhuji, we are a little bit afraid in Krishna consciousness. If we become devotees, then we may not work very hard. That was the question. Okay. Actually, devotees are working more hard for the eternal good. We manage our material responsibilities, we also manage our spiritual responsibilities. Who otherwise gets up at 4:30 in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning? Nobody will. Right? Most of people, Saturday, Sunday means what? Get up at 12 o'clock and have chai along with newspaper. Okay, that is the life of most people. Right? So who is going to get up in the morning? Oh, it's Saturday, we can go for Mangala Arati. Who will do that? Only a devotee will do that. Nobody else will do that. So therefore, devotees have a busy schedule. So Lord Krishna says that devotee means remember me, but to continue doing your prescribed duty. Even though, of course, as devotees, we may find it challenging to think of Lord Krishna at the time of doing our duties. So when you go to the office, when you are in a pretty animated meeting, okay, then it may be difficult to remember Lord Krishna at that time. But if we cannot remember Lord Krishna at that time when we are at workplace, then it is far more difficult to remember him at the time of death. When the consciousness is disturbed and the body is having overwhelming pain. If we can't remember there, we can remember there also. Right? So this is a nice point which is coming across. Therefore, practice now. So remember today. So we have been advised to practice now. Devotional life cannot be postponed. बाद में seriously करेंगे. अभी थोड़ा ऐसे ही करेंगे. It's not like that. It will not work like that. So if you don't do it now, you'll never do it. That is the desire of the Lord Himself. And that is, I think, there is a verse 1857. Can you go behind slightly? No, not 1857. Ah, 1857. Go to 1857. There is something mentioned there. No, maybe it's a Manmana verse. Oh, okay. 1857 says, in all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. So this is talking about how we can practice now. Okay. Work under my protection. That's very important. Working under the protection of the Lord. We think our bosses protect us. We think our boss, whatever strategies he makes out for us, that protects us. We think the CEO's plan protects our job. But more importantly, who is protecting us all the time? Lord Krishna. I was today when I was taking bath, I was thinking how Lord Krishna has protected me. I was actually thinking this. I was taking bath, I was thinking that it's a very it's not a coincidence that I'm in Melbourne. You know? I did not want to come here. When they sent me here on a 3-month project in 2005, I said no vehemently. My boss said yes, you have to go. 3 महीने में तेरे को निकालता हूँ मैं. I didn't know what Melbourne was. I was in Toronto. Toronto was, the devotional life was very good. And people were Bhaktivedanta members, just like here. They had all come to the airport. Prabhuji, you are going. And I was also crying. They were crying. It was a pretty emotional scene at the airport. It was 2.5 years of association. And then we had to leave. And then I didn't realize the Lord's plan. I said, why did he do that? Such nice association. Then here I came, and actually I realized in my life that my devotional life flourished to the next stage here in Melbourne. I would have probably stagnated there. Nothing wrong with that place. Wrong was with me. I would have stagnated there. Because I didn't have too much of... I had some mentors who were there, but they were too kind to me. There was no one who could give me chastisement. When I came here, I got the hit what I needed very early, in the first year itself, in Melbourne. So that was good in that sense. And then in Melbourne, there were so many things which I did, for example, in Toronto, we used to eat in restaurants. It was only in Melbourne we saw the high standards that devotees are following, starting with Nityanand Prabhu and Vasudha Priya Mataji. It was Vasudha Priya Mataji who told my wife, "Nahi Mataji, हम लोग बाहर का bread भी नहीं खाते." I said, "What? बाहर का bread भी नहीं खाते?" And for me it was a high standard at that time. Of course now we are used to it, but that was a very high standard. हम लोग बाहर का bread भी नहीं खाते. I said, "Wow, this is next standard in life." It was completely cut off, going outside restaurant, nothing like that. So Melbourne helped quite a lot. Of course, I also evolved as a preacher in Melbourne to the next stage. I got an opportunity, Keshav Prabhu, Bhakti Vaibhav course. That was the best thing that happened in my life in Melbourne. One of the best things. 8 years now we have completed the Bhakti Vaibhav course. That was not there in Toronto at that time. So I could not see the Lord's plan. Even for 3 years or so, I was in 3 or 4 years I spent with the Kodak account. Everything was going so smoothly. We were the kings there. Myself and Rasi Chandrapur. Only 2 people on site, all offshore. Okay. No business development manager, nobody on top of us. Okay. So then suddenly one day, they told me that, "Jagan, you'll have to get out of Kodak." And I said, "Oh Lord, why you are doing that? You have to go to National Australia Bank and work there. Your next consulting assignment." I said, "Oh my God, there are so many people there. Again, and so many layers, this, that, huge program. I thought I'll get so busy." And I was also told, "Bahut kaam hai udhar." It was. We were just doing the upgrade. Remember those days? So then suddenly I was programmed and I couldn't see that thread. But what happened was, I came here and Kodak collapsed. They went bankrupt. Founder. If I would have remained there, gone. And because I came here, immediately, PR was done by the company and citizenship happened. So when I look back, I think it's not a coincidence. There is something which is there, which is putting me in the right places at the right time. So I'm completely convinced with this verse. Of course, I have to remember it the next time some change happens. Right now I can see in retrospect, but still, the dog's tail is always like that. Next time also I will lament. Oh, why?
Why me?
Why me? Yes. But then we can see that the Lord's plan is there. He protects the devotee's devotional service. He may not protect my false ego and my material necessities, but He will protect my devotional service. So the Lord says in this verse, if you see the Sanskrit of text 7, He says, "Mam anusmara." And then He says, "Yudhya cha," which means what? The sequence is, remember me in devotion and work for my pleasure. It's very important. So the importance of this point is again emphasized in the next verse. "He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me." So, Smaranam as the process of Navavida Bhakti is purifying. And Shravanam, sorry, not Shravanam, Smaranam is very purifying. And Smaranam can help us conquer our conditioned natures. Because our nature is contaminated by so many things, by 3 modes of material nature. But the name of the Lord and the meditation of the names of the Lord and form of the Lord, qualities of the Lord, pastimes of the Lord, they are purifying in nature. Just like we mentioned in the other class, we say Om Apavitra Pavitrova Sarvavastam Yotopiya. We say that. No? Why? Because the name of the Lord is purifying. It is pavitra. It can purify everything. It can purify our consciousness. So Smaranam of the Lord can purify our entire consciousness. So Burian Prabhu writes that we have different strengths, weaknesses, attachments, misgivings based on the 3 modes of material nature, but we can conquer all our limitations by the mercy of Lord Krishna, by always remembering. If you go back to chapter 6, text 35, you will notice that Lord Krishna is saying, however, this process is not easy. This process of remembering Lord is not easy. What does 6.35 say? Let's go back and see. You have found it?
Yeah.
So it's mentioned, Lord Krishna said, O mighty arm son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind. But it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So practice and detachment required. Constant practice and determination. Utsaha, Nischaya, Dhairya, Tat Karma Pravartana. So that is required. Enthusiasm is required and patience also required in Krishna consciousness. The next few verses, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna what are the different ways in which he should be remembered. We have talked enough of the importance of remembrance. Now we will talk about what Lord Krishna is saying, how to remember him, how he should be remembered. So there are 10 ways that the Lord gives on which he should be remembered. Text 9. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. So, the essence of this purport here is that we have to meditate on Lord Krishna, to remember him. How should we remember him? By the process of meditation. Meditation on Lord Krishna's gun, on his qualities, as the possessor of specific qualities. Which qualities? As one who knows everything. That is a quality of the Lord. As one who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything. So many qualities are given. One has to remember the Lord in terms of these qualities. So if we meditate in this way, then one can, to enable one to realize him as the super soul. That is the point that Srila Prabhupada is essentially making in this purport. If you remember him in all these ways, smallest of the smallest, then that will help us remember him as the super soul. What is the goal of all yogis? To understand the super soul. What is the goal of Dhyana Yoga? Paramatma realization. That is the goal of Dhyana Yoga, right? So it is mentioned that if the Dhyana yogis can remember the Lord, meditate, as such, remembering these qualities of the Lord, then it can enable one to realize super soul feature of the Lord.
I have a question.
Can I complete this? Then you just hold the question for a minute. So, in this section, in 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13, from here till verse 13, Lord Krishna is discussing Yoga Mishra Bhakti. He is discussing Bhakti, but he is discussing Yoga Mishra Bhakti. What is Yoga Mishra Bhakti? Yoga Mishra Bhakti is that Bhakti which a person does Bhakti to the Lord, but cherishes a desire to get out of the cycle of birth, disease, old age and death. What is Yoga Mishra Bhakti? We are doing Bhakti, but to get out of the cycle of birth, disease, old age and death. That is still called as a Mishri Bhakti. It's not pure Bhakti. Because pure Bhakti has got several characteristics. One such characteristic is Moksha Lagutakrit. Derides the conception of liberation. There is no need for liberation. Devotee does not desire liberation from birth, disease, old age and death. How do we know that? Aslisyava padaratam pinastuma adarshanan marmahatam karotuva yatha tatha va vidadatu lampato mat prananato suyam. What is the translation? Oh my Lord, you can handle me roughly by your embrace, or make me broken hearted by not being in front of me. You can do anything and everything that you want with me, my dear Lord. You are my unconditional Lord, birth after birth. This is the mood of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the last verse of Shashtakam. This is Uttama Bhakti. Not that, oh Lord. Of course, earlier it says, please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of your atoms at your lotus feet. But towards the end, Mahaprabhu is giving the highest mood. What is that? No problem. Even if you don't pick me up, you ignore me, still I am your unconditional servant. Birth after birth. Which means there is an assumption that I will come back into this material world. Like that. That is Uttama Bhakti. Whereas here, all these processes, what is going to be described now, Lord Krishna is specifically talking about Yoga Mishra Bhakti. People who have Bhakti, but who still cherish desire for liberation. Like that. In fact, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd canto, you may note down, 3rd canto 29th chapter, verse 13. The verse is, Salokya Sarishti Samipya Sarupya Ekatvam Apyuta Diya Manam Na Grihananti Vina Mat Sevanam Janara. This talks about, this is the teachings of Lord Kapila to his mother Devahuti. He says, Uttama Bhakti means what? That a devotee does not desire Salokya Mukti. Salokya Mukti means what? Lok means place. Desiring to be in the same planet as the Lord. Salokya. Sarishti. Sarishti means desiring the same opulence of the Lord. Samipya. Having proximity to the Lord. Sarupya. Having the same features of the Lord. 400 form. Devotees say, oh Lord, please bless me with the 400 form. No. Sarupya. What? Ekatvam. Ekatvam means Samipya. Not Samipya, sorry. Sayujya. Oneness with the Lord. No. Devotees don't want to merge into the Lord. So, why? Salokya Sarishti Samipya Sarupya Ekatvam Apyutaha. Why they don't want this liberation? Because Diya Manam Na Grihananti Vina Mat Sevanam Janaha. Diya, तुमने दिया तो भी मैं नहीं ग्रहण करने वाला हूँ. दिया मनम, मुझे दिया फिर भी मैं नहीं ग्रहण करने वाला हूँ. दिया मनम न गृहणन्ति. Why? Because ऐसे liberation में विना मत सेवा. बिना सेवा का है. There is no seva here. Vina mat sevanam jana. Even if you give me this liberation, Lord, I don't want it because there is no service here. I only have your form. I only have your planet. But I don't have any service to you. So the mood of Uttama Bhakti is what? No, none of this is required. Only servant of servant. Whereas in this section, Lord Krishna is not focusing on Uttama Bhakti. In this section means what? From verses 9 to 13. After 13, Lord Krishna will speak about Uttama Bhakti. But till from now onwards, 9 to 13, he is talking about Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Please remember this point. So the current theme is that.
Why is there no service? You got one of those, say, proximity or same planet or whatever.
Who?
Why is there no service?
Where?
I mean, when you say in those kinds of liberations, when you're in the same planet, on the proximity and all that, why? How can we say there's no service involved?
What is the greatest service?
Breathing.
So, that's right. See, actually, Rupa Goswami is an eternal associate of Lord Krishna. Who is he? Rupa Manjari. In Golok Vrindavan, there is Ashtasakis. And then there is Manjaris. Correct? Still, what is happening? He wants to come down in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. Why Rupa Goswami has to undergo, he was imprisoned in jail. Why he has to go to jail? Being a Manjari in the spiritual world, why does he want to come into a jail in Bengal? Actually, you can imagine, it's far out for him. But he doesn't mind. He says, okay, because I am part of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. Haridas Thakur is Brahma himself. And then he was flogged in 22 marketplaces. People are beating him like that. Why? Kola Vecha Sridhar. Why does he have to come down and take a Kola Vecha? He's selling those banana leaves. Why? Because they want to participate in the Lord's pastimes. Why did the whole Vrishni Vams come down as the Yadu dynasty and kill each other? Not required. Why did Jaya and Vijay come down as Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha? Not once, then Shishupal and Dantavakra, then Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and then Jagai and Madhai. Why? Because they wanted to serve the pastimes of the Lord. So if you see, pure devotees are showing us that trend. They are not very content. Abhi to yaar maja aa raha hai spiritual world. See you later. Not like that. They want service. That service means they are willing to come. So they are not attached to that sadhu. That is how we have to understand it. Though they have been given eternal residence in the spiritual world, they are saying, no, we'll come with you wherever you go. For that, even if we have to take the life of a demon, I will take that. No problem.
People who realize Paramatma, what is the destiny? If they leave their body, the Paramatma lives in what is there? Do they have to come back in material world?
Paramatma will lead you to Chaitanya. Paramatma is Chaitya Guru. So they will come back and they will have to take
shelter of the
spiritual masters. So which verse are we talking about now?
First
9 we finished?
Yeah. Prabhuji.
Yes.
How do we understand this Shishupal's example? He was given the liberation of Charikya.
Why was Shishupal given liberation?
Not why he was given, but we could understand the other way. No? He was given a role of being an enemy of Lord and perform the Leela. Even though they get that liberation, still...
Why he got impersonal liberation? Why did he merge?
No. Still he can get that activity, like in performing in Lord's activity and all.
Because Shishupal didn't become Jai Vijay. Jai Vijay became Shishupal. That is why. Does it answer your question now? Yes or no?
No.
He is saying, why did Shishupal go back to the spiritual world? Because Shishupal did not become Jai and Vijay. Because Jai and Vijay became Shishupal. That is what that's the answer. He was already there in the spiritual world. He has come down to perform a demonic pastime with the Lord. Because the Lord desired to fight. When the Lord desires to fight, who will he empower to fight with him? Because to fight with the Lord, you really need powers. Who will you give power of attorney to? To anybody? To only one who you trust. So the Lord gave power of attorney to Jai and Vijay, saying that you go, I will make you almost as powerful as me. Hiranyakashipu, even his eyebrow was lifting like that, and demigods were like, shivering. With his eyebrow, he was controlling people. Like that. Okay. Who can stand in front of him? In fact, even it is mentioned, I think in the past time, when Ravana and Sita were there, someone tells Ravana that, kya tha wo?
Earring.
That which he could not,
Mountain was earring.
this mountain which Ravana was found it difficult to overcome, that was his earring in the earlier lifetime, something like that.
Maya Dhanava.
Maya Dhanava. So how powerful Hiranyakashipu must have been, we can imagine. So who can give such powers? Only the Lord can give such powers, by which he can give a near fight to the Lord.
But I didn't understand the sentence that Jai Vijay became Shishupal, but Shishupal didn't become Jai Vijay. So that really...
What I am saying is Jai Vijay's, Shishupal's original constitutional position is Jai Vijay.
So how can he merge into Lord's body?
Why he merged into the Lord's body? That is a different question you are asking. That's not his question.
So that, like you were answering his question, even though they get that liberation, they will not get the chance of getting the service.
Yeah, but
there is an example of it.
Yeah, so you have to understand, that's where again I am coming back to the point. There is a difference between Tattva and Leela. Tattva is what? Tattva is that we don't desire liberation. But this liberation is not Tattva. It was not that Shishupal was a Dhyana yogi who wanted to get outside the cycle of birth, disease, old age and death. He had enough of this material world. No. Shishupal was part of Leela, not part of Tattva. In that sense, Shishupal, the Lord wanted to emphasize that in my Leela, the constraints or the rules of Tattva don't apply in a Leela. It just don't apply. Isn't it? The Lord only makes the rules in this material world, but He is Swarat, He can change the rules of the game. Right. So, and it was not that Shishupal also desired Sayujya Mukti. It was not like that. The Lord had promised him that after these lifetimes, you will come back, don't worry, you will come back to you will not remain there. Though you may be most Dempane, I will ensure you are delivered back. Now, Shishupal could have directly gone to Vaikuntha also. Why did he have to attain? Liberation. That is because the Tattva aspect says that whoever killed by the Lord, demons, they will attain liberation. So Lord kept that rule also. But at the same time, in the Leela, they were Jai Vijay, so they went back. So Prabhupada writes, it's a two-step process. They first attained Sayujya, but immediately after that they went back and attained their original forms. Prabhupada writes that.
And didn't take this other births again, before they go back?
Which one?
They have to become Jai Vijay. Jagai Madai. Then they go back. They are not going back and coming back. Once they come down to the material world, they have to take 3 births.
3 births, yes.
So they take 1 birth, they don't go back and become Jai Vijay. They keep taking a birth.
Yeah.
It's not that they keep going and keep coming, keep going. They come once, then they go back after they go to benediction. So they will come back again after the curse.
Is that a question or is it a comment?
I think it's a comment.
It could be there. We don't know. There is not much information on that. That whether they went back, became Jai Vijay and again came for a second iteration in a different yoga or not, I don't know. But it is also possible. But what you are saying could also be possible. See, someone from a material standpoint, someone can argue that, boss, Shishupal went so many years back and Jagai Madai just happened now. So where were they in between? Somebody can ask that question. Now the answer could be that there are millions and millions of universes. So they could have gone and taken part in some other yoga. And then come back. So in that sense, they are bound within the material world. Which is your point.
Yeah.
They will finish all this and then they will go back. But again, if you see, in the material world, all Krishna's pastimes are Nitya Leela. So are they ever going back? I don't know. I don't know. So it's inconceivable. So the Lord's pastime, Janma Karma Cha Me Divya. We don't know how it works. But we don't have to worry about it.
Probably is it 3 times or 4 times? Like in
It was 3 times.
Now where is Jagai? Where is Jagai?
They came on that.
You know of
3.8.
Canter very good. Give the address. Jagan mother. You and I are there, no? I don't know.
Is it part of the fast and from the question? Third or fourth? 3 times or 4 times? Because
Yeah, Jagan mother also.
No, Ravan Kumbhakarna is one iteration.
Yeah.
And
Isopanisad
is another one.
Yeah.
So I also heard from many cases it is only 3 times that Lord, it is due to the curse, no, Prabhu, for Jay and Vijay. So it's 3 times they become a devotee, sorry, demon, or 1,000 times they become devotees. So they come here as devotees. So they chose to be 3 times to be. So I'm just worried with that number. Is it 3 or 4?
3. It was 3 originally.
Bhagavad said
3.
3. Then my next question is, then where is Jagan?
Because
Part of that part.
Because they were 3 doesn't mean they can never come back. Because it was contracted only thrice. It's not like a traditional contract. Even Mahaprabhu's past time, they come, that's all.
They came back to
Don't worry
take
too much
part in
about
the
it.
Leela. I mean, they came back and take part in the
Yeah,
Leela.
they came part to take part. They can come anytime.
Take part in the Leela.
Thousands and thousands of
That's
times
what they
they can take birth.
And then Arjun came, all the Pandava came, and even when we did the Chaitanya Charmita.
Okay, we can have the discussion offline. Okay, so we'll have to keep moving. Text 10. One who at the time of death. Arvind Bro, we can discuss after the class. We'll go ahead. One who at the time of death fixes his life air between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviating mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord with full devotion will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Rupa Goswami has said that the most important principle out of all principles in Bhakti is what?
Never, ever,
Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. And the goal of all yogas is to attain that Krishna Smaran only. Dhyana vastita tad gatena manasa pashyanti. Because Krishna is the object of meditation of all the yogis and tapasvis. So many are there. In Himalayas they are meditating here and there. But what is the goal of all that? They are all worshipping on, meditating on Lord Krishna ultimately. Now, in this text 10 purport, which I am sure all of you have read and come. Okay. Yeah. I know you would have definitely read and come.
Thanks for that.
No problem. I was just joking. So, if you read this purport, you will understand that Srila Prabhupada is talking about Sat Chakra Yoga. This verse and the next one. Sat Chakra Yoga. It is like the Kundalini Yoga.
Shat Chakra, that is a 6.
Shat Chakra. There are 6 chakras in the body. Prabhupada is talking about that. But the essential point that is coming across is that the difference between the people who approach through this Sat Chakra process and through the devotional process, the difference is what? One is dependent on perfection of a technique of performing that yoga. It's a technique. Kundalini yoga is a technique at the end of the day. One has to perfect that, how to do it, Sat Chakra yoga. So one is a question of technique, the other one is a question of mercy. Bhakti yoga, we get the same smarana of the Lord by virtue of mercy of Lord Nityananda. No complicated techniques. So that's the difference. But the commonality between both these processes is what? Did you observe in the translation? Bhakti. See the beauty. In that verse it says, undeviated mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion. Even when you are doing this Sat Chakra yoga, what is that component which cannot be done away with? Bhakti has to be there. So either out of that Bhakti, you do Navavida service, Smaranam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, all these things, deity worship, everything what we do, chanting, or you do Sat Chakra yoga. But a common component is what? Bhakti. So it is, without Bhakti we cannot attain the Lord. You follow any process. So that there is a difference in the technique, but there is a commonality of Bhakti. And both need a bona fide teacher. Both need practice under a bona fide teacher. You cannot do freelancing. I cannot sit at home and say, I will do Kundalini Yoga myself. I have got a DVD, I will see that and start. It doesn't work like that. Nor can you take a Bhakti Yoga DVD and start self-learning. Learn Bhakti in 21 days. It will not happen like that. Why these processes take time and need a teacher? Why they need teacher and why they take time? Because prayana alpa ayusha sabhya kalo asmin yuge jana manda sumanta mataya manda bhagya. Because in this Kali Yuga, our minds are always disturbed. That's why it takes time for us. So therefore, we have to bring the mind under control through the process of mantra meditation. This is what the same point we were discussing in Milpark program also today. The mind has to be controlled by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. So, now the Lord is saying here that one has to fix the life air between the eyebrows in the Shat Chakra Yoga. The perfection of that is what? Take the life air and fix it between the eyebrows. Now what happens to a yogi who is able to do that? Automatically he does not go. Fixing the life air between the eyebrows will assist the yogi in remembering Lord Krishna. It is not an end of fixing the life air in the eyebrows. If you do that, then you can remember the Lord easily. If you fix your life air between the eyebrows. And then but your dhyan must be not on the eyebrows, on the life air.
How does it feel like that? How does it feel like?
You can watch in the tram. Most people are dhyan on eyebrows. You see tram morning, Monday morning, all the ladies will open the tram. Our problem is we have dhyan on the eyebrows. Here, the problem is, it is only a tool. Putting the life air on the eyebrows and then remembering the Lord. It is important. So, that is mentioned in text 10. And certain additional aids are mentioned in verses 11 to 13, which we'll go through quickly.
Prabhu, quick question.
Yes.
How do we reconcile this full devotion to the section being about the mixed devotion, Yoga Mishra Bhakta you were talking about?
Full devotion, not pure devotion. Full devotion means what? At the end of the day, that one has to remember the Lord. That's what he's saying. The smaranam has to be full. Full devotion means the remembrance. The yogi must fully remember the Lord at that time. But the process is different and the goal is different. But the remembrance is the same. You are remembering the Lord, albeit with a different goal. That's why it's not pure devotion, but full devotion is there. You are remembering with full devotion the Lord. Text 11. We'll read text 11, 12 and 13 together and then we'll discuss. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkar and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Now please read this carefully, because as Bhaktivedanta preachers, you might come across this question. And such people who will ask you questions. Prabhuji, why Hare Krishna Mahamantra? हम लोग के family में हम लोग Om बोलते हैं. People will come and tell you this. वो क्या खराब है क्या? How will you answer that from this section? We have to understand this 11 to 13 and it will be clear. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman, not Vaikuntha, right? Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. One may attain salvation. But then, if one remembers the Lord at the time of death, one will attain without a doubt. So there is a may and there is a will, without a doubt. See the way Prabhupada is writing the purport. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements. So what is the yogic situation? Two things are mentioned. In the earlier verse, what was the key word? Celibacy. In this verse, what is coming? Detachment. In yoga, both are important. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements. Closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head, one establishes himself in yoga. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual climax. Okay. So, for those of you, those minority who have not read and come, majority, please read this section very carefully. Please do not write the exam if you are not reading these purports. There is no point in getting a certificate. These purports are very deep. Prabhupada is bringing out very brilliant points in these purports. So as I mentioned before, Srila Prabhupada is talking about the Sat Chakra Yoga. Now, the important points to note here in these purports are that Brahman has got two aspects, which we did not note in today. We never discussed this. Brahman has got two aspects. One is called as the Akshara and the other aspect is the Omkara. What is Akshar? Akshar means Om. This way, like this, and then like this with a dot. That is what? Om, that Akshara. And other is the sound which is producing. Om, like that. I can't do it. But Mayavadis can do it very nicely. So Akshara and Omkara. There are two aspects of Brahman. That is what Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. Now, whether you are worshipping Om through the Akshara or the Omkara, or whether you are doing devotional service, two things are most important. One is celibacy and the other is detachment. Detachment means pratyahar. Pratyahar. Withdrawing the senses from the object of the senses. Controlling the mind. These two aspects are emphasized because celibacy and detachment are two things which you can't do away with. You can't do away with these two things, regardless of whatever yoga you follow. We cannot say, "My ऐश करूँगा, बाद में I will attend the Lord," or I will die shopping in Myers and then I will go. Because you just can't control shopping. So many things, nice things are there. कौन सा खरीदो वही समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. So we cannot, in any yoga form, we need celibacy and detachment. Withdrawing senses from the sense objects. If we have a desire to enjoy this material world more and more, then no yoga process will work. Only by celibacy and detachment can we reach a stage where the mind can focus on the super soul, Paramatma. The life force can be raised to the top of the head, for which the head has to be completely rid of all other things. Otherwise the life air will not come on top. So many other thoughts are there in the head. There is no space for the life air. You have to clear that space first. Then it will go up. Now, Srila Prabhupada is writing here, this knowledge is not taught in schools and universities today. Therefore, training from very childhood is important. It is not taught. All these processes are not taught to remember Krishna. Now, I was coincidentally, yesterday I was talking to one devotee, she had come home. She was telling that her in-laws, I asked, your in-laws are also devotees? Very nice devotee. I asked, your in-laws are also devotees? She said, हाँ पर वो पता नहीं है. I said, what do you mean by that? She said, वो लोग बोलते हैं कुछ, they are surrendered to some Baba who has told them to do Om. So, in their in-laws house they have Om written, the Akshara Om, like that. And they are all saying Om, like that. So I said, what do they eat? They said, everything. Fish, सब खाते हैं. Fish, chicken, everything चलता है. Oh, अच्छा. What about the spiritual master? He doesn't condemn them, वो भी खाता है. तो सब लोग फिश खाता है. और बाद में क्या बोलता है? फिश खाओ और ओम बोलो. Like that. Because ओम बोलोगे तो ब्रह्म में विलीन हो जाओगे. That is how they talk. Have you heard this Mayavadis talk? ब्रह्म में विलीन हो जाओगे. कुछ याद नहीं रहेगा. Like that. And people say, क्या lecture था यार, मजा आ गया. No? अभी घर में जाके क्या करने का वो मालूम नहीं. I don't know what to do when I go home. But बहुत आनंद आया सुन के बाबा जी का lecture. So this is how they will trap you with flowery words like that. कुछ ब्रह्म में विल नहीं. You will eat fish, you will come home and watch Mahendra Singh Dhoni eating century. Correct, no? Because the mind is filled with material desires. Where is the question of Brahman? Brahman means first of all you have to remove the concept that you are Indian. Then you are watching the last over, whether Mahendra Singh Dhoni is hitting 16 runs or not to win the tri-series. Then where is the question? Then that means my identity is Indian. I cannot tolerate Sri Lanka winning. So that is not, so that life here will not go up. It will remain down on there. Nothing will happen. You can watch, you can chant Om for throughout your life and then watch cricket and nothing will happen at the end of lifetime. Next lifetime, based on your merit, you may become a batsman or something or a bowler. And if you don't have, then you will become a groundsman. You will have some association with the game, depending on the merit, like that. So therefore, celibacy and detachment are required. We cannot live any kind of life and say, "Hum Om chant karke वापस जाएगा." And then I also asked, daily they chant Om? नहीं, कभी-कभी they chant Om. And then what do they do other time? They come once in a week together and in the tape recorder they put that person chanting Om. I said, where is that person? He said, he has gone. I said, is there any disciplic succession? Hai, but no, not much. No. How confusing. I couldn't understand what's going on there. I said, okay, fine, very good, no problem. I didn't know what is going on there. That's all. That's their devotional life. But actually, Om is bona fide. It is said here, Prabhupada is writing, if you want impersonal Brahman realization, then you can chant Om and attain Brahman realization. Because there are two aspects, Akshara and Omkara. You can focus on just Om and attain Brahman realization, the Akshara of Om, or you can chant Om vibration and you can attain liberation. However, what happens is, many of the societies today have simply used Om as a tool to control diabetes, sugar, heart disease. It is powerful, no doubt. You can do like this. Oh, like that. Actually, if you try it, it actually is good. Actually, it's not a joke. It's actually good. You try that, you will feel tremendous peace. And you will also find, I did that for some time. After attending a course in pranayama, I did that. Of course, because of my laziness, I am not doing that. But actually, it's very beneficial to do. Because that is Vedic science, right? But what we are trying to say is that Om is only used for a suboptimal purpose, for keeping the body healthy. But the Om is capable of doing much more than that. That's all we are trying to say. We are just trying to use the Om to lift us from the mode of ignorance to the mode of goodness. And after that, what we do? We engage in social work. Right? And that is where the problem is. Because that Om can do much more than that. It can give you liberation. And this Lord, when Lord is talking about that, He is talking about that power of that Om to give you Brahman realization. Here. Not simply used as a pranayam tool. Like that. In fact, if you read the Charitra of Prithu Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, he also left like that. If you see many personalities, big personalities who have left, you will see towards the end. And Prithu Maharaj fixed his eyes between his eyebrows, he lifted his life air, and then he left. It is mentioned like that, and went back to Vaikuntha. So it is a bona fide process. But Prithu Maharaj, he followed the same Ashtanga process. You said, why did he not attain Brahman? Because his desire out of that process was to attain Bhagavan. Of course, Prithu Maharaj himself was an incarnation. You have to understand that. He was an empowered incarnation. Okay. But his desire was to attain the personality of the Lord. So you can attain the personality of the Lord through this process because Bhakti is there in this process. But here in this verse, Prabhupada is talking about Yoga Mishra. People who don't want to attain the personality of Godhead. They just want to escape from birth, disease, old age and death. And being in the Brahman layer. So, in Prabhupada also writes that all these processes, however, the Shat Chakra Yoga and all these things, these are very difficult in Kali Yoga to follow. Therefore, chant and be happy. To cultivate this detachment, oh my God, it's 9:06. So what I'll do is I'll stop here. We'll continue this verse in the next class. There's a little bit more I want to speak on this verse. We'll do it in the next class. Sorry about that. Prabhupada ki jai.